Working at the gas station was fun for the most part. I mean, sure, I would have the typical rude customers, but never anyone who was physical towards me. My boss asked me if I could work the night shift for a few weeks, at least until we had enough employees because we were short staffed at the moment. I said sure, and I began to work the night shift. It was a bit different from the morning shift. Less customers, but a lot of strange people. And it just felt different. It was almost scary. I mean, when I would take out the trash, I would have people just sitting outside of the gas station staring at me while talking to other people, and people selling drugs to each other. I would call the police, but when the police would arrive, the people would be gone. I would try and explain to the police, but our cameras did not work at the time, and the people were always in hoodies, so I could never fully get their face. I just saw half of their face. This went on for a few days. The same people would just be in the parking lot, repeating the same cycle. They would do this every night. They would just look and stare, and that was really it. At a few more weeks, I would work until I could go back to morning shift. It was the same cycle every night until one night I was closing up the gas station, and a woman came in asking for directions to the nearest hotel. I told her the directions, and she asked if I could give her a ride. Now keep in mind, this woman was older, and I had a heart for helping people. I said sure, but that this would be the only time, and for her to give me 10 minutes after I closed the gas station. I gave the woman a ride to the hotel. She was just sitting there, not really talkative, just quiet. Not long after we arrived to the hotel, and I dropped the woman off. I began to leave, and I saw out of my rear view mirror there was a car that pulled right out after I pulled out. I figured it was nothing because it was a hotel and some people would leave to go get food in the middle of the night. So I began to keep driving, but the car was following me. I remember I was 15 minutes away from my house, and I ended up going to McDonald's to get some food. When I was in the drive-thru, I could see the same car was right behind me. They never ordered food, they just kept following me. I remember I was having a bad night, and I pulled into the gas station. When I got out to fill my gas, I saw the same car pull in right behind me. They didn't get out of the car or anything. They just stayed inside their car and watched me. I looked at them, and I could see that it was the same men from the gas station. The only reason I could tell was because of their hoodie, and I saw half of their face, and that looked like the same people. I got back in my car and I started to get back on the road. The car was still following me. I called the police and told them everything that was happening and how I think I am getting followed right now. The police told me to drive to the police station. I did this, and the man kept following me. When I was 5 minutes away, I told the police, and they drove towards me and saw the men and started to chase after them before arresting them. I remember I watched the men all get arrested, and to my surprise, it was the same men who waited outside of my work. I also told the police about a woman, and they went to go pick her up at the hotel, and I think she is the one who set up this. The women was working together to rob the gas station, but they never got the chance, and they wanted to kidnap me so they could make their plan work. They were all charged with attempted slaughter and robbery. I remember after this, I quit the night shift and went back to work in the morning shift. This story happened to me a few years ago when I had graduated college with my associate's degree in science. I remember how happy I was after getting my degree. I ended up going out to eat with my family to celebrate. We ended up going to Olive Garden to eat, and I got the chicken Alfredo. I got extra cheese, and I remember our waiter was nice but also seemed off. I would always see him just staring at me, but not in an obvious way, of course. I went to the bathroom, and when I came out, he was right there, just standing in the hallway. I just smiled before walking past. I remember how uncomfortable I started to feel because the waiter was just staring at me. My family started to notice and figured the waiter had a crush on me. I told my family he is not my type, and I felt bad because the waiter heard me and he was right behind me. I tried to smile and not make him feel bad, but then again, I did not feel safe around him. After we paid and left, I started to check out my social media to see if my grandma saw my graduation post. She hasn't reacted yet, but in my likes, I saw the same guy from Olive Garden. I did make my post public after all, and that's how he seen it, because we were not friends on any other social media. I just ignored it and I turned my phone off. A few hours went by and I got a notification, a friend request. It was from him. He then sent me a message. Hey, sorry if I bothered you earlier. I just thought you were pretty and was shy. My gut told me not to accept this message, but I did, and I said thank you, and it's okay. That was the end of it, I thought. But he kept texting. Good news. Would you like to get to know each other? Question mark. I said that's okay. He left my messages unseen for 30 minutes before calling me. I did not pick up. He then texted me and said, "Can we be friends?" Question mark. I ignored his message. He kept on, so I ended up blocking him. I didn't tell my parents because I figured this would be the end of it. Plus, I was in a relationship, and I didn't want my boyfriend to think I was cheating or anything like that. So I told him in a way that would not make him do anything bad or suspicious, just to let him know what is going on. Michael was my boyfriend. He said he would not do anything, and if he keeps on, then he would say something. Nothing happened for a month. Well, I ended up going out with a few friends, and we went to a lake, just to hang out and catch up with everyone. When I got there, I noticed that same guy who texted me a month ago was there. I didn't think much of it, plus I was with my friends, and it was daylight outside, so I just ignored that. I began to swim for a couple of hours before it started to get dark. That guy just watched me and my friends swim. He just stared at me. I remember telling my friend Chloe, I should call my boyfriend because that is the same guy who had texted me, and she was familiar with him, and she said, "What is your password?" and that she would call Michael. I told her and she called Michael. Michael said he would be there in 10 minutes. I got out of the lake and I started to dry off. That creepy guy just kept looking at me. When Michael got there, I told him. Michael then went over there to him and told him, "Hey man, knock it off. She doesn't want you. This is my girlfriend. Got it?" The guy just smiled and then started to walk into the woods. Everyone got in the car before leaving. We all were headed to get something to eat. We all went to IHOP. When we got there, we all got seated and began to eat. That's when I looked outside the window and I could see the same man outside. He was looking into our cars. I told Michael. Michael went outside and said something. The guy then pulls out a gun. I remember how terrified I was. I asked for the people to call the police, but no one was answering. So I called the police myself. I then ran to the back of the restaurant. I waited for the police to arrive. It wasn't long after until the police did arrive. They arrested him. I remember looking at Michael, who was pretty beaten badly, when he had a black eye. After this, Michael broke up with me and said I was the cause of all this, and he does not like drama. I never did anything wrong. I tried to explain to him that this guy was a stalker, and I do not know him at all. Michael did not want anything from me. He didn't want to hear from me. He ended up blocking my number. I told my parents, which they knew how bad this sucked for me because me and Michael had been together for 8 years. And just like that, he ended it. I started to cry, and I was staring at our pictures, wondering what could I have done to make this never happen. But I could not find a solution. This was not my fault. I kept telling myself for a few months, and I saw Michael and he was in another relationship. We never spoke again after that. As for the guy who tried to harm me, he was in jail. The creepy guy name was Mason. He ended up sending me a letter which said, "I am sorry. I did not want to hurt anyone. I just wanted to be with you. But your tough boyfriend had to go. I hope you understand." My head was spinning because if this was true, what Mason had said in the letter, why didn't he just tell me that when he saw me at the restaurant? I never knew what Mason's real intentions were because I never gave him a chance to explain. I ignored the message and I've been traumatized ever since. As you can probably tell, I am not the most attractive guy and I fell into the trap of lust. I hated the feeling of being alone, so I tried out Tinder for the very first time. My first week, I got a match with a girl named Haley. She was interesting and was my type of girl. She was a blondie and 5'2", so I'd be a little bit taller than her. I did like short girls after all. Me and Haley began to text for a week before we decided we can meet in person. I suggested somewhere that is public because you can never be safe on the dating app. Me and Haley decided it was best if we met at a cafe that was in our town. The day came, and I began to start getting ready. And Haley called me and asked if I could pick her up from her apartment because her car would not start. I did feel a little worried, but I agreed and said I'd be there in 10 minutes. Plus, I was excited, as you can probably tell. Haley gave me the address, and it was in a shady part of town. I remember arriving to the apartments. I texted Haley and said, "Haha, I am here." She just left me on scene and said, "I will be out in just a minute," with a smiley face at the end. I waited 5 minutes, and still no sign of Haley. I was parked on the street, in front of the apartments. I tried to call Haley, but it just went to voicemail. She then texted me and said, "Sorry, I am in the bathroom. Give me a minute." I waited and began to listen to music while I wait. I started to look in my mirror to make sure my hair was not messed up or anything like that. When I did this, I saw two men walking up to the side of my car, one on each side. I backed up as fast as I could and began to leave. I got towards the stop sign and I saw a man holding a crowbar in hand who ran in front of me and hit my car. Before I sped off onto the road, I began to drive out of there. I tried to call Haley and tell her what happened, but she just kept seeing my message. And then her account was deactivated, and all our messages had disappeared. And we were unmatched on Tinder. I drove all the way to my house and I started to put it all together. Haley was setting me up. That is why those men all came out when they did. They were going to rob me, or worse, hurt me. I wanted to tell the police, but I did not have any proof. And what if Haley was not her real name? And this is what they do. They fake to be someone who they are not. And they lure people who is desperate. And then they hurt them and robbed them. I had deleted my Tinder app, and I never got on dating after that. I figured it was best if I started to get myself together first, and just meet a woman in real life when I was ready. The main lesson from this story is you should never meet someone you meet on a dating app if the place is not public, because you never know if this person is genuine or trying to harm you. And from my experience, Haley was trying to hurt me. I am just happy I looked in my mirror to see if my hair was good, because if I didn't, I probably would not be here to tell you this story. I've always been fascinated with night. Even when I was a kid, I would go outside in my backyard and look at the stars and try to determine which star was next to Earth. I remember driving at night on a highway. I was headed to my friend's house, who I would look at the stars with, and they stayed 30 minutes away from me. I remember driving on the highway, and it was dark outside. No cars were really out. It was only 11 p.m., so it wasn't too late. I kept driving, and I saw there were constructions up ahead, so that was being worked on. So I would have to take the back roads. I was not that familiar with the back roads, but I did not have a choice. I kept driving, and I saw someone in the middle of the road. It was a girl in a white dress who was standing in the middle of the road. I got out and asked, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" She just smiled and said, "I have nowhere to go. Can you take me with you?" With a creepy smile. Something just did not sit with me. I laughed it off before saying, "Well, I am in a rush to get home, so if you need me to call someone for you, I can, but I kind of need to leave." She then said, "You are like everyone else. You just leave when someone is in need for help. Screw you." And then runs into the woods. I got back in my car and began to start driving. I remember how creeped out I was. I was just ready to get to my friend's house because that was scary. I started to drive up the road more, and I saw a group of people surrounding her. The group had bats in their hand. I just went around them. I knew something was off, and something bad was about to happen. Not long after, I looked out my mirror, and I could see headlights behind me. It was a truck. I was being followed, and I was still 15 minutes away from my friends. And my phone was at 10%, so I had no way of calling the police. The only option I had was to get out of here and get back on the main highway somehow. I started to pick up speed, and I could hear the truck behind me doing the same. I remember thinking to myself, is this how I die? As crazy as this sounds, I was terrified. The truck was behind me and was chasing me. The truck then got next to me before ramming into my car, trying to knock me off the road. It kept a strong grip on my steering wheel. This cycle repeated. The truck kept trying to ram my car off the road. I saw an exit which led to the highway. I started to speed up faster and cut in front of the truck and slammed my foot on the gas pedal, speeding into the highway. The truck was still behind me, chasing me. I remember I was so scared, but I just kept on. I saw the same construction workers up ahead. I drove all the way to them, and I got out the car and ran to him and told him everything that was happening, how I was being followed, and how if you could call the police. The people in the truck stayed in, and they started to turn around. I could not get a picture of their license plate because it was dark. So when the police did arrive, I tried to explain to the police officers everything I knew. But this was not enough information for the police to do their job. After I went to my friend's house, I explained to them what just happened. I remember how shocked they were. It was a week later, and the lady was found doing the same thing to someone. The men were all caught as well. It turned out she would do this to people who would get robbed, and they would hurt you. But I was happy that these crazy people were off the street now, and nothing bad happened to me. The main lesson I can tell you from this story is you can't always be caring, because some people would take advantage of you and try to do some serious harm to you. I made it out alive, and nothing bad happened to me. I recently lost my job during a tough time. I was working at a grocery store, but when COVID hit, most of the employees were laid off, and I was one of them. So trying to find another job was almost impossible. I also got evicted from my apartment because I could not pay rent on time. I had nowhere to go. My family was not picking up, so I was alone. This left me to be a homeless person who would stand on the side of the road holding a sign that said, "Anything will help, please." Most cars would just drive past, wearing a COVID mask, and I was in a jacket, pants, and my work shoes. One car came up to me and gave me $5 and a COVID mask and told me, "Keep this on no matter what," before driving off. I did this for a few days, and the only time I would eat was when a nice person would give me money. I was a woman, so this did help a little. It was getting dark and I would have to go sleep under the bridge, as usual. It was about to rain, and I started to walk towards the bridge. A car pulled up next to me and rolled down the window and said, "Hey, do you need a ride?" I was hopeless at this point, and this man in the car could tell. He had a COVID mask on, so I could not see his face. But then he said, "When is the last time you ate anything, huh?" I replied, "I have not ate anything since yesterday." The man said he could give me a ride to a hotel and we could get food together, and that he would pay for everything. I was so desperate, and I agreed, and I got in the car. The guy seemed nice. He kept his word for the most part. He would ask me questions like, "What type of food do you like?" and personal questions when we would start to eat. "How did you become homeless? How did you not have anywhere to go? Do you have people who care about you?" I would answer this guy's question and then ask, "What is your name?" He never took off the COVID mask. He just said his name was John and told me to eat because afterwards we were going to the hotel. I did what he said, and the guy paid for the food, and I went back to the car. John told me he would be back because he forgot to get me a to-go cup. He then went inside and got me a drink. He came back out and said, "Dr. Pepper, correct, with light ice." He told me to drink up, and I did. We began to start driving. He turned on some music and asked if I need anything. I told him no. I could feel my body starting to fall asleep. I knew something was off, and before I knew it, I was asleep. When I woke up, I was in a room. John came in and said, "You were knocked out for a while," and told me to get cleaned up and shower. After I did that, I went to the front of the boat. I wasn't sure how or why I was on the boat in the middle of nowhere. We were in the ocean. I remember John had put medicine in my drink, and I guess I was drugged. That's all I could think of. John told me I looked nice and for me to eat something, because we had a long way until we would arrive. I asked where we headed to. John said to Italy. I asked why and if I could leave. John said something that terrified me. "If you want to leave and go back to your miserable life as a homeless woman and sleep on the bridge, begging for money, be my guest. Just jump off the boat and swim back. But before you do that, just remember, there are sharks and currents in the ocean. They will pull you to the bottom before you drown. Or your other option is, you go to Italy and you meet my boss, who is going to make you a lot of money if you do what he says. I asked what would I have to do. John paused and looked at me and said, to lure homeless people in. You will be in charge of faking like you are homeless, and you will bring them to us, and we will take care of the rest. But I am homeless, so I don't get why I'm faking to be something I am. After you meet my boss, you will not be homeless. After a few days, we arrived to Italy. I remember how beautiful it looked, but I was so naive. They took me to the boss, who did not show his face. He just said, you are not my slave. If you do not follow the rules and instructions I will give to you, I will be sure to kill you. The guy then gave me the rules. Rule 1. You will get dropped off on the street, and you will fake to be homeless and make friends. 2. You will bring your friends to John, who will pick you up and feed you. 3. If you go to the police, we will find you. 4. Am I clear? Simple enough, I said. But I did not want to do this. The man then gave me a briefcase with $5,000 in, and then a drink, and told me to drink it. It knocked me out. When I woke up, I was on the street again. I was homeless again. I did what they asked, and the first time I did it, this would be the very last time I would do it ever again. The man would feed us, but then one of us would get taken away. They would kill him. Those homeless people I brought were killed. I remember how sick this made me feel. I was not going to keep doing this. I could not do this again. I figured I'd rather be homeless than to just kill people who were similar to me in a way. I bought a phone with the money I had, and I told the police everything. The police were never able to catch these people, but I had committed crimes as well, so I would have to do time in jail for 2 years. When I got out, the police said that they would put me into police custody and protect me from these men. When I got out, I got a job at a factory, and I have been working here ever since. The main lesson I could tell you from this story is, you should never trust everyone who offers to help you, because deep down, they could simply try and harm you. So you should be cautious, even if you are in a similar spot I was in. I hope these men are caught one day. But for the people who do fall victims, I just hope you never meet John. If you enjoyed these stories, be sure to subscribe. Like and comment what are the scary stories you would like me to narrate. I can do creepypasta or true. If you have your own stories you would like me to narrate, be sure to send it to my email, which is in my bio at pumpkinscarestory@gmail.com. I hope you all have a great night. Thank you all for watching.